Hello, everyone. My name is Jacky. I'm the founder of Relevance AI. We're actually literally just this long hill. At the top of the hill, that's where our office is. We just moved in, I'd say less than a month ago. So if you guys are ever around here, again, feel free to come say hi. We're just up on the corner. But my name is Jacky. I'm the founder of Relevance AI. My background is in data science and machine learning. Previously, I was the head of machine learning for IAG, which is pretty much an RMA, etc., where I led a machine learning team there. Before that, I had also won a couple of awards as a data scientist, whether it's the EY Data Science Award and some other awards as well. Probably similar background to a lot of engineers and data scientists in the room. And before that, I had also built multiple apps, number one on the Play Store, number one on the App Store during university, that had gotten about 7 million users. I've always kind of loved building things. But what I'm going to go through today is I'm actually going to tell you guys more about the AI workforce. So hands up here who've heard of agents, heard of stuff like LangChain, Llama Index. Okay, a couple of people hands. Awesome. Then I guess I'll get to blow some people's minds in this session, hopefully. What we do at Relevance is we essentially allow our users, our company, like our customers, to be able to build their very own AI employee and eventually their whole AI team and AI workforce. So what an AI employee is, it's essentially someone that can actually do a task end-to-end in autonomous fashion, so that you can completely automate a specific business function. So let's say, for example, sales, customer support, marketing, etc. So now Relevance AI, we're backed by some of the largest VCs in the world. So Peak 15 used to be Sequoia. Now they're rebranded Inside Partners, King River, and we're also used by some of the most innovative companies such as Autodesk, Roku, Safety Culture, Channel 9, Blizzard for those who like WoW. We're used by a lot of different companies. And what we believe in is that when companies scale, they should only be limited by their ideas, not their team size. So we believe that by 2025, every company will have hired at least one AI employee to their workforce, and then by 2030, they will have hired at least 10 AI employees that makes up an AI workforce. We're already trusted by some of the ambitious companies which I've talked about, but this is coming sooner than we think. Now, before I kind of talk about this era of automation that is the AI workforce, is AI agents. FYI, there's not too many plugs in these slides, so don't worry about too much advertisement. I really just want to educate you guys on why the AI workforce is important, why AI agents is something to really consider when you're building things, when you're thinking about automation. But to even go further than that, we have to start from Automation 1.0. If we look at how Automation 1.0 works, it's stuff like Excel, Zapier, UiPath, Salesforce, etc. And it's been revolutionary, right? Like 10 years ago, it's been awesome. You have someone that's not as fast as doing something, and now with these tools, they can get to 10x or 50x much faster. And that's been really, really helpful. But if we think about it from the historical path to now, this is only the first version. And then we have the second version, which is what we're seeing today a lot, which is all the co-pilots. And this is just the first iteration of AI being brought in, but we start seeing stuff like GitHub Copilot, 55% time saved for developers. Editing videos with Runway, 90% time saved. So there's a lot of AI copilots that we're starting to see in the wild. And it's really increasing our existing productivity. It's taken someone from 2x with software now to potentially even 5x or 50x, etc. But one of the really key things I want you guys to all look at is that this is still very much bounded by how big your team size is. So if you wanted to get more work done, you still need to increase your headcount as a company. You still need to bring in more people onto your team. But what we work on at Relevance AI is autopilots. So the whole concept of autopilots is that it is not just about helping an existing person to be more productive. It's actually getting a person to distill as much of their knowledge into essentially the AI agents so that the AI agents can actually do that work completely autonomously. So a good way to think about it is our current software, our current Copilot AIs, they're all about how can you get AI into the process of me as a human, whereas autopilots is more about how can I get humans in the process of an AI, or in the loop of an AI process, so human in the loop. And the key thing here is that the person is actually training the AI agent so that it can produce at least one unit of output. And then now, if you wanted to scale that output, you just have to pretty much scale compute. So a good way to think about it is, let's say you have a customer support Copilot. That's great, and maybe your team size is like 50 people. But what happens if tomorrow you scale to like 100x more customers, right? How do you actually scale for that? If using that previous equation, you still have to hire about 100x more people. But with autopilots, you just have to increase the number of agents that are running. So you can easily scale up compute, pretty much buy more GPUs, buy more servers, and now you can actually have these autopilot agents automatically responding to all of these customers. So essentially, this is what it looks like. We go from automation 1.0 to 2.0 to eventually 3.0. The export has kind of looked a bit dingier, but essentially the last part is the really, really key part, because now, in order for you to scale your team, you no longer have to be 1,000 in size. You can actually be 50 person in size. And that's great for the economy as well, because you end up with more and more companies being produced that are smaller in size, and everyone can focus on more unique and creative work, and a lot of this really repetitive, boring task like level 1 customer support, or like in sales process it's like BD work. A lot of these things can actually be fully automated, fully delegated to the AI, so that essentially you have an AI workforce. You have all these AI teammates, AI employees that are actually working for your team and for your company. And that's what we do. We essentially not only help our customers to be able to build their whole AI workforce, but also hire their first AI employees so that they can scale from there, and also tell you why as well we decide to focus on not just one AI agent, not like a sales agent or like a customer support agent. We decided to focus on the whole platform, and I really want you guys to be able to take away from this that reason, less so about Relevance AI, but more so the reason why we decided to do that as well. And I'll break it down because there's 3 core components to the AI workforce. There's essentially the AI agents, then there's the tools for the agents, and then there's the multi-agent system. So the AI workforce has to be a team of diverse autonomous AI agents working collaboratively together to solve tasks that are increasingly complex and repetitive for the human workforce. And all 3 of these core components are really, really key to get your AI workforce to be not only just more accurate, but more performant, constantly scaling at higher capacity and everything. So getting all 3 of these core components means that it will hallucinate less, it will actually be production ready. I know, like, for the people in the room that have heard about AI agents, it's all like a toy, right? AutoGPT, it's cool to look at, but it doesn't actually go into production. All of our agents have actually been in production, and it's working great, and it's actually seen a lot of huge increase in scale as well in terms of usage. So let's start off with the AI agents part, because there's a lot of different components to an AI agent, and I'll break it down to 6 simple pieces. So there's the LLM. So this can't just be any LLM. So you have your Mistrals, you have your Coheres. It has to be an LLM that supports function calling. It's also called tool calling now, but it has to have the ability to be able to reason and know that, okay, from my set of tools, I know which one to execute. So it's not just any LLM, it has to be those ones. So and you have to have a set of tools. So these are stuff like being able to give the agent the ability to Google search, being able to give the agent the ability to send an email, being able to give the agent the ability to add something to my HubSpot, execute code, write code, etc. So this allows your LLMs to go beyond just generating text. It's now able to actually interact with other software and interact with the stuff that you use on a daily basis. And then you have some other stuff like categorization. So the agent needs to be able to know, depending on the task, which step it's at. It needs to be able to have knowledge and memory so that it remembers everything in the past. It knows, stuff about certain kind of topics as well. It needs to be able to plan. And then finally, it needs to be able to collaborate with other agents, which I'll go into more. But there's three different types of tools as well, which I want to dive deeper into for agents. So there's three different types of tools. You guys probably have heard of vector databases, etc. This is actually the first type of tools, which is source of truth tools. So this is the ability for you to actually be able to find certain information for the agents to be able to, like, let's say, go to my Notion doc and see what's all the documents I've written up. Go to my FAQ to see what are the most frequently asked questions. So these can be constructed via searching a database or a vector database. And then you have the second part, which developers love making, but it's not enough. You have integrations and code. So integrations are stuff like, now I'm able to connect it to Gmail, now I'm able to connect it to Outlook, now I'm able to connect it to my calendar. So those are functional tools. And then finally, this is the most important part, in which we also spend a lot of time making the right builder to actually distill this knowledge, is actually skill-based tools. So these are essentially business rules. So being able to construct a flow that says, okay, when I receive this marketing document, this is the process I go through to review it, and I'll actually put it in LLMs, I'll put it in steps. This is best constructed actually not by engineers, but by domain experts, and it's actually a crucial component to making sure that your agents are super accurate, actually works, and everything. And we have a AI native no-code, low-code builder that allows you to build the exact tool you need, whether it's the source of truth tools, or whether it's the functional tools, or whether it's the skill-based tools. You can essentially use our platform to easily create that. But the key thing I want you guys to take away is that there's actually these three sorts of tools. Make sure when you're constructing an agent that you're considering all these three different types of tools. And then finally, when you actually have all these tools, you can get the agent to work with the tools exactly the way you want them to, and exactly the way you actually interact with these tools. So let's say you're a marketing person, and maybe the first thing you do when you receive a task is, I'm going to look in my email to get the task, and then I'm going to write it into a Notion doc, and then I'm finally going to go on Canva to create some images, and then after that I'll go to my Google Doc to write it up, and then finally submit it to like LinkedIn or Twitter, etc. The agent can actually interact with all these different tools if you create them, or if you just use the out-of-the-box things. So I won't go for a demo, but pretty much our agents do that. It goes through HubSpot, it creates schedules, it even knows, okay, if someone hasn't replied to me, I'm going to reply back to them in like 7 days, etc. It knows it can send emails and everything. And then this is where it gets really, compound is my favorite word. For those who don't know much about compound, it's pretty much the way for you to keep growing and keep adding all the previous experience so that you can essentially keep growing at a faster rate. But yeah, Albert Einstein has this quote which pretty much says that he loves, it's really important part of the world. So, and there's actually a compound effect when it comes to the multi-agent system. So what a multi-agent system is, it's essentially a system where you can have multiple agents working together. Yeah, I'll explain to you why. So the best way to understand why is there a compounding effect with a multi-agent system, with an AI workforce, is first understanding why there isn't a compound effect when it comes to the human workforce. So whenever you add a new teammate to a human workforce, so let's say, for example, you're a team of like engineers and you add a salesperson or a PM, or for example, it quickly expands on the new outcomes you can achieve. Now you can create software that is not only great for developers, but actually can be marketed. It can be sold to enterprises, etc. You achieve better outcomes because you have more different perspectives. So now it's not just engineers looking at the product. It's now salespeople giving feedback on the product. It's now marketing people giving feedback on the product. You have more different diverse audience that are giving perspectives. But it also empowers more specialization. Now, finally, as a developer, as an engineer, I don't have to do any marketing work anymore because our team of 10 engineers should be focused on engineering rather than doing marketing and sales. But it does create a slower decision-making process because now you have to get everyone to be aligned. Salespeople don't necessarily understand what engineers are saying and vice versa. Communication becomes a challenge in that way. You actually need to coordinate more because you need to book meetings at certain times. Are you free? No, I'm not. Are you free at this other time? No, I'm not. There's a lot of back and forth, and ultimately communication isn't in real time. But when you add a new team member to an AI workforce, well, it's slow decision making. No, it's no longer anymore because it's 24/7. It's always on. Everything that one agent knows can be easily transferred to another agent. Copy and paste pretty much, so that if agent A knows all about what's the top customer issues, pretty much another agent, like let's say a sales agent, can now actually know everything about that. And that's great because now you can achieve more outcomes because let's say, for example, if you see all the top issues that the customer have, you can actually get the sales agent to now see that, oh, these are all the top issues. I'm going to target those top issues whenever I see a new customer so that they can resonate even better. The coordination can also be highly specific depending on tasks you use for the multi-agent system. I'll quickly explain 3 different kinds. So there's the assembly line. When you want something really, really robust, really, really reliable, you use an assembly line approach when it comes to building a multi-agent system. So what that means is that step 1, this agent has to do the task. Step 2, this other agent has to do the task. Step 3, this other agent has to do the task. And then you can also move to an omnidirect, which is like, I'm going to tell all of you guys a problem, and then you guys figure out how to solve it. And that's essentially where you have like 4 or 5 agents. You chuck them in a room, and then maybe agent A will go first, and then agent B will go second, agent C will go third. It can really be very diverse. And then finally, you have the one we actually use the most often, which is a leadership-based approach, which essentially is, okay, I'm going to delegate my task to the marketing leader, for example, and then the marketing leader is going to speak to like the content writer agent, and then it's going to speak to the PR specialist agent, and then it's going to speak to the designer agent, the content critique agent. So it knows, depending on which stage it's at, it will speak to which agent, depending on the task. So it's much more dynamic. You use essentially assembly line when it's a really like high accuracy, high reliability task. You use omnidirect when it's like the most creative task. If you wanted to generate some blog post for you, that's really good. And then you use leadership based when it's like something in between. And then finally, ultimately, you want to make sure that you have this compounding effect, because every time you make a new AI agent, you can get it to work with other AI agents. So if I had initially one content writer agent, and then I add another one, and then I add a PR specialist, now my content is not just about creating content. It's actually creating content that is like PR approved. Now I add a data analyst. Now it's not just creating content that is PR approved and reads well, but it's actually backed by data as well. Now I add a designer. Now it's it's rich in graphics. It looks cool and everything. Content critique, so that it's peer reviewed and everything. Ultimately, you want to go with an AI workforce platform so you can keep compounding the effects of every agent you build. Avoid single agent vendors, because what ends up happening is that you don't get this compound effect going where every time you add a new agent, every time you build an agent, it can't communicate with each other. The reason why I'm doing this, why I founded Relevance AI, there's one problem that in particular I've been kind of passionate about my whole life, which is the aging population problem, which essentially is happening in Australia, Singapore, China, Japan, and many other Asian countries, which essentially is that there is actually not enough people in the next generation to work, essentially, to support our current older generation. Because 1 in 4 people are actually going to be older than 65, and there's just not enough people to actually be supporting the workforce. That means GDP is likely to go down. That means we need to really bring in automation. So hence why bringing in the AI workforce will actually free up not just us from the stress of having to support this large, ever-growing aging population, meaning we're getting to have to work 9 to 9, etc., but actually enjoy the work we're doing and have more and more stuff delegated to the AI workforce, and ultimately increase GDP, solve this aging population problem so that we have more work produced throughout the economy. And what I believe is that the AI workforce is ultimately going to be the driving force of the next doubling of human prosperity. The last one was when computers came in. This next one, I believe, is when the AI workforce will come in. And teams will only be limited by their ideas, not their size. So that's what Relevance AI is all about. And thanks for listening. And I'm just on time, so yeah.
Thank you, Jacky.